Have you ever had someone tell you to enjoy the process and then you sit back to think about it and realize, well, there really isn't anything to enjoy, is there? Because you realize that your life is just bogged down by problems, responsibilities, and you don't seem to be moving ahead no matter what you do. And although you are moving forward, it's really hard to see the bigger picture because you're just not zooming out enough, all right? So let's take life as a timeline. I'm going to show you exactly where I was when I was 18 years old to where I'm at now, because it's going to put it into perspective for you guys to understand that success is just not a straight line. So let me take you back in time. Up until I was 6 years old, I was actually living a very humble lifestyle in Dominican Republic. We didn't have much, and coming to the United States was actually a dream. This is something most kids in the Dominican Republic only dream of, and I was able to get that opportunity. So when I was 6 years old, I was brought over to the United States to live the American dream. And guess what? That's exactly what I plan to do. Now, let me fast forward to when I was 18 years old. At this time, I was only making $7.25 an hour. And once I got really good at my job, I actually got a raise of 25 cents, making me a whopping $7.50 per hour. Now, mind you, I was working from 11 p.m. to 8 a.m. every single morning for 6 days straight. And I would only get 1 day of rest in between. So I was doing this for about 6 months, busting my tail. And it was very tough. It was very difficult. The World Congress Center, which is the building that I was cleaning in downtown Atlanta, has over 3 million square feet of carpet. Okay. And my job, as you can see in this picture, was to vacuum that building. Now, here's lesson number 1. While I was working my shift one night, I actually came across a deputy sheriff that had been retired, okay? This deputy sheriff had retired, and he was only doing a part-time. For those of you guys that don't know, when you're in law enforcement, you have the chance to work part-time, okay? And you get paid extra money by the company that hires you. In this case, he was already retired. But due to the fact that you can keep your credentials up to date, it gives you the opportunity to continue working part-times. So I asked him, how much are you getting paid to do what you're doing right now? Which was nothing, guys. All he was doing was walking around, and he'll sit down most of the night. He was making $35 an hour. And to me, that was insane. Like, my mind was blown that someone can make that in 1 hour, especially when I'm only making $7.50, killing myself at this job. Now, what did I do next? Because I could have been a little salty and been mad at the world after that, but I didn't do that. Even at that age, I understood that there was something greater for me in the future. I actually started doing a little research to see what I could do to become a police officer. Now, since I was young and I really didn't have much experience, I couldn't just get into a police academy, okay? And I was too young to even qualify. So I decided to become a security guard for the same building. So I was a security guard now, making $8.50. I did that for a few months, and then I ended up just leaving. Then I faced the biggest challenge of my life, which was losing parts of my fingers. And this right here is exactly what happened to me. All right, so you guys can't see it now, but if I put my fingers together, both of my hands, you guys can see just how much of my fingers were amputated, okay? So I lost about 1.5 inches on one, another inch on another, and this was a huge challenge for me. This happened while I was working at a factory. A press machine came down and cut off parts of my fingers, all right? Now, because I wasn't of age to join the police academy, my biggest thing was to get into the Marines because I could sign up for the Marines, and I did. So I took the ASVAB and I passed it. But unfortunately, when it came to the medical clearance, I wasn't able to get through because of my hands, okay? Although I had a letter from my therapist, they did not let me in, and I waited an entire year to see if they would change their mind, and they didn't. Now, because the Marines process took an entire year, I actually had the opportunity to apply to the police departments, and that's exactly what I did.
Witnesses' cell phones recorded much of the chase. Along the way, police tell us the suspect stole at least 4 cars. Police helicopter watching the suspect's moves from the air. After a police pit maneuver, the suspect crashed.
Out of 500 applicants, only 30 of us were chosen to join the police academy. Out of those 30 people, only 22 of us actually graduated, all right? And I happened to be the youngest one in the academy. I was only 20 years old. I turned 21 4 days before I could actually carry my gun legally. So that should give you an idea as to the odds that I had to beat to be able to get in. But this is exactly what happens when you take those opportunities that present themselves, okay? You just never know what's going to happen. And I'll tell you that this decision to join the police academy changed my life forever. I got to experience things that most people just don't ever get to experience. I experienced more in the 8 years that I spent in law enforcement than most people will ever experience in their entire life. Now, I didn't mention this earlier, but from the age of 14 all the way up until I was 25, I was actually an aspiring music artist, and I put a lot of time and effort in trying to make it. Exótica, exo, 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 exótica. Exo, 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 exótica. Empieza a bailar, no vas a parar. Solo dame más y más y más. With that in mind, although I stopped doing music at 25, I went ahead and I started my first company, and that was an event rental business, which a lot of the videos that are on this channel are focused around that, okay? I show you how I go and rent out tents, tables, chairs, and linens and make money. Once I started that business, I can tell you that my mindset shifted forever, okay? I started to see life with a different perspective. I started to see that money is everywhere, and you can actually get it in so many different ways other than your normal traditional 9-to-5, okay? Or in my case, a career in law enforcement. There came a time where I wanted to better myself and my family to be able to enjoy life with them. And at the end of the day, the only thing we can't make more of is time, all right? So to me, time is the most valuable. And the only thing that we can't make more of is time. So when I started to see that I was making 2-3 times more than what I was making as a law enforcement officer with my event rental equipment, I started to see life different, okay? That really tweaked something in my head. And I know that a lot of you guys will come to this point and you'll start seeing things a little different, okay? I was making between $1,400 to $1,500 every 2 weeks, all right, after taxes, risking my life every single day. But I went and set up a tent, tables, chairs, linens, and made $2,500 instead with one single event. And what did that do for me? It saved me time, all right? Instead of working 2 straight weeks trying to make that same money, I was doing that in one single event. And what that was doing for me mentally is letting me know that there are so many ways that we can actually make money out here. And a lot of us spend our entire lives working, trying to get that money. So if we can find ways to make money quicker and in less time, that is when you are winning, okay? Am I rich? No, I'm not rich. I am nowhere near where I want to be yet. But I am still working my way through my timeline, and this is why it's so important to enjoy the process. Now, going back to my timeline, when I noticed that shift in my mentality, that's when my wheels started turning, okay? And in 2022, I decided to leave law enforcement and go into full-time commission sales, okay? I was a car salesman for a Chevy dealership, and I sold over 400 cars in 2 years. So what exactly does that all mean? Well, I went from making $1,400 to $1,500 every 2 weeks to now making $15,000 to $25,000 every single month. Okay, you see the change? The change came after I realized that my time was valuable. Okay, my time was valuable, so I took the risk. I took the risk of leaving a comfortable 9-to-5 career to going into a full base commission sales. So because I took that chance, that opportunity, that risk, I was able to get rewarded. Now, obviously, it wasn't easy, okay? Not everybody can do that. And the risk that I took was immense, especially when I already have a wife and I have a house to take care of. I went into a commission sales job where you don't have a base pay. That is a major risk. But if I didn't take that risk, guys, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in today. Now, I don't sell cars anymore. Now I am fully self-employed. I have my water restoration company, I have my event rentals, and now I'm growing my YouTube community here as well, okay? And on top of that, I also have my crypto portfolio, and I also engage in day trading, all right? Which makes me a few $1,000s every single month. So if I take a look at my timeline now, it's easy to see that I went from $7.25 to over $300,000 a year. But if you didn't sit down with me and hear my story, you would think that I just skipped to the $300,000 a year, okay? And that's simply not the case. This is what it means to enjoy the process, because if I didn't go through all the trouble that I went through in my life, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in today, okay? Fine, you can be born into wealth. That is something that can happen, and unfortunately, that's not the case for all of us, okay? You guys got to see that I came from humble beginnings all the way onto where I am today. And I do not plan on stopping. This is actually not even close to where I plan to stop. Now remember, it's not about the money for me. It's about the time that I'm going to be able to free up. The time that I'm going to be able to create my own schedule, not work for someone else, not have to be stuck at a 9 to 5. To me, that is more valuable than any kind of money. And if I can spend that time with my family instead of being stuck at a job where I don't want to be, that is all that matters to me at the end of the day. All right. So remember, there is a timeline that every single one of us has. It doesn't matter where you're at in your life right now, you're on that timeline. It is on you to determine where that timeline ends. So if you guys enjoyed this video, if you found any value, if I helped at least one person, please make sure to like and also drop a comment down below. Let me know how far in your timeline are you? Are you at the beginning? Are you in the middle? Are you in the end? Where are you? I want to know, okay? And if there's any way I can help you out, I'll try and guide you in the right direction. Without further ado, guys, I appreciate every single one of you watching, and I'll see you on the next video.